Hey there, I'm Travis Wright-Colopy. Welcome back to another video in the Tummy to Tuck series. This is part 2, the commitment. In the last video, we talked about the goal. Without a goal, you don't know where you're going to go because there's no finish line that you've set for yourself. Without a goal, you're just out doing stuff aimlessly. Even if you do some great stuff, you might get in some better shape, start having other improvements in your life, but you're not really achieving anything specific without a goal that you're meaningfully working for. But today we're going to talk about the commitment, because without a commitment to that goal, you will very likely not actually achieve it. We know this is true because we've all had those goals before that we did not achieve, that they just went left undone, and then we were disappointed with ourselves afterwards. And you might say, well, any number of excuses, but yeah, I didn't do the work, or the goal was actually too hard for me, or whatever you want to say. But largely, it all comes down to how committed you were to achieving that goal. When you have that commitment, you will put the work in, you will keep going at it no matter how hard it might be. Whatever little excuse that might rear its little head, you're going to squash it and keep moving forward. But that all requires having a firm commitment to that goal, because that's what keeps you moving forward through the ups and downs and the tough times of the hard work. As we've discussed before, there are a lot of little things you can do to help you make that commitment and to maintain it every day. Because the commitment is essentially like rent, and the rent is due every single day. You can't just say at the start of the first day of the month, yes, I am committed to this goal, and then not think about it for that rest of that month, and then first day of the next month, I am committed to this goal. You're going to have a lot of wasted time in between where you'll very likely not be making the progress. It's an every morning thing. Every morning you got to get up and say, yes, I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to go do whatever it might be, even if it's just as simple as going for a walk like I am today. It's a daily commitment. Again, that rent is due every single day, and you have to pay. If you don't pay, you're going to get evicted from the path towards that goal. And there are some things you can do to help you maintain that commitment. First, as we've discussed before in a previous video a couple months ago, you can try to envision yourself as the person who has made the commitment and achieved that goal, or you can envision yourself as the person who did not make the commitment and did not achieve that goal. This ability to envision ourselves as the person we want to be, or who has done the thing we want to do, or is doing the thing we want to do, is an important piece to success. And I'm sure you've heard this with any other number of success gurus or just self-help individuals, but whether the thing we want to achieve is mental or intellectual or even a physical trait like our health, wellness, and fitness, success is largely a game of mindset. And more often than not, we fail in those goals because mainly through a failure of imagination and belief in ourselves. We do not believe that we can be the person who has achieved that goal, whatever it may be. Maybe it's all you want to do is publish a book or run a marathon or just take that first step off your couch and go for a walk. You'd be surprised how big a step that is for a lot of people. So if we cannot believe ourselves to be that person or envision ourselves to be that person in the future, oftentimes we never start at all. We never even take that first step and find out whether or not we can be that person. So oddly enough, for a lot of people to be successful, they almost need to suspend their disbelief of who they are and can be, and mainly just get out of their own way. If they can't believe that they can be that person, they at least need to suspend the disbelief that they can't be that person. Because the belief that you can't be something in the future is the surest way to failure. So your first step is to get out of the negative false beliefs first, and then you can start working on the more positive beliefs about what you can be sometime in the future. But circling back around to where we started with this and making your commitment to the goal, you can either envision yourself as the person who has done the work, put in the time and effort, made that commitment, and achieve that goal, or you can envision yourself as the person who didn't do any of that and is no farther along in their character development, so to speak, than they were when they started. Unfortunately, by default, most people are in the second category. They did not envision themselves as the person who succeeded, and so to speak, they failed, or at least did not move the ball forward for themselves and their life and whatever they want to get out of it. So the point of this exercise of trying to envision yourself as that person who, in the future, who succeeded and did everything they needed to, or envisioning yourself as the person who did none of it and failed, is really just to find your baseline. If you are able to envision yourself as that person who succeeded, you're in a great spot to immediately start making great progress towards your goal. If you cannot envision yourself as that person and instead just believe yourself to be someone who's going to fail again, you're not in a great place to really do anything. And you need to get your headspace game in a better spot before you can really do anything meaningful. We've all experienced this at some point in our lives where we want something, we start going after it, but we get stuck in our own heads about all the things that will make us fail, all the excuses that pop up and everything. And lo and behold, that prophecy fulfills itself and we fail. This is really, rather than instead of being on the treadmill towards success, this is a flywheel of failure. And it's just a cycle that will repeat itself until we can remove ourselves from it and actually get on a path forward that actually takes us where we want to go. There are some people who never really experience this flywheel of failure. For whatever reason, they can just get after it without really getting dragged into the mud of their own minds. Unfortunately, for most other people, at some point in their life, and for many people, they spend most of their lives in this tar pit of their own minds that keep them stuck and keep them from moving forward. If you're in that space, you probably should go get some kind of therapy or find some kind of group support network, or really even just a coach, someone who can keep you on the path and keep you out of your own head. When we get stuck in our own heads, unfortunately, we just wallow in a lot of that negative self-talk we've all experienced, and unless we have someone on the outside who can continue to give us that positive encouragement, keep us accountable when we start stepping off the path, and whatever else you might need to keep moving forward, if you don't have that, you're not going to get where you want to go. There's no real profound way to put it that you can put on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker or an Instagram post. Sometimes you just need to ask for help or accept the help that is offered to you. There's no shame in needing help, and there's no point being prideful and failing at your goals by not accepting it. Now, the second part of the exercise of trying to envision which you in the future you will be is that, again, the work towards a goal is hard and it can be a very long process. We all want that goal now or yesterday even. We want to enjoy the benefits of it, and we don't want to put the work in really to achieve it in sometime in the future, which could be very far away. But for those of you who are willing to embrace the suck, having that vision of what you will be in the future will help you get through that. Hopefully, if you are able to envision yourself positively as that person who has succeeded, it should fill you with some really good, nice, warm, fuzzy feelings. You can almost taste that feeling of success you will have on that day, wherever it might be in the future. You can also hopefully envision yourself as that person who failed again, and that should fill you with a feeling of dread, like almost like there's a brick in your stomach. It should be a feeling that makes you want to run away from that feeling as fast and as hard as you can. So, when things get tough during your journey towards that goal, it could be when your alarm goes off in the morning and you're just tempted to roll over and lounge around for a few more hours instead of getting up and going for your workout or working on whatever it is you're wanting to achieve. Or it could just be when you're already out doing something and you got a few more miles you need to run, and your body's is telling you, say, we don't want to do this anymore, we're bored, let's go sit on the couch, get some potato chips. When you get to those points on your journey, and inevitably you will, because even the most driven person will hit those points where they plateau or just want to feel like stopping. You can remember those feelings of what you envisioned for your future. You can remember the great feeling you had when you thought about the success you could achieve, and you'll want to keep moving. You can remember that feeling of dread and failure and disappointment in yourself when you don't put the work in and you don't achieve it, and that should help you keep moving. Now, the last point is you have to keep in mind that one of those two futures is going to be yours one way or another. Inevitably, you will realize one of those futures. One requires positive and affirmative action. The other one is largely just achieved by omission and is essentially the default option. You don't really need to make a commitment to the default option that requires you to do nothing. You do, however, have to make a really deep and abiding commitment to the option that requires a lot of hard work and sacrifice on your part. The good news is it's a choice you can make. It is entirely within your power. It's a choice you can make every day. And in fact, you must make every single day. And if one day you fail in making that proper choice, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow you can make the better choice. The issue is when you start putting that off every single day, where it's always tomorrow, you can start making the better choice. That's when you start running into problem. After a couple days of not making the choice to be committed to your goal, you have in fact slipped and you are failing by omission of action. There is a saying that I will brutally paraphrase here, but that the worst possible hell is meeting your best self. So let's round out the analogy we started earlier. Making the commitment to a goal is like paying rent. In order to pay the rent, you got to work hard, get the money so you can pay the rent. With commitment, the rent is due every day. So every day you have to put in the work to get what you need in order to pay that rent of commitment. Inevitably, your alarm clock in the morning is your go button to getting to the day and getting after what you need to do. Treat that alarm clock like a knock on your door. And who's knocking is your landlord demanding the rent for the day. Who's your landlord though? Your landlord is your best self. Your best self will be out at your door every single day knocking really hard, trying to get you up out of bed, get out and do the work so you can in fact get close to being your best self. The sad truth is many people, if not most people, hear that knock and just yell out, "No one's home," and roll over and just go back to sleep. One day they'll come home and find that their door has been taped over with an eviction notice on it. And you do not want to experience that kind of shame and disappointment in yourself for having reached that point. At some point, your best self is just going to move on and stop caring and stop trying to drive you forward to that point of success. So make a commitment to the goal that you've set for yourself, whatever that might be. Start envisioning yourself as who you want to be in the future. If you need the help, find it. There are a lot of people out there willing to offer you help, mainly because they need help too, and you can work together towards your goals. They don't need to be the same goal. You just need someone by your side who's working hard for something they want and is willing to help you work hard for something you want. If you like these videos and the content, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, leave a comment if you have any thoughts or questions. As imperfect as these videos are, I'm making them because I heard the knock and I'm not going to ignore it anymore. And I hope you heed it as well. So next week, coming back with another video, part 3, the plan. We'll see you next time with the Tummy to Tux series. Have a good one.